The 1999 Elders Academy was held on the Koyukuk River near Huslia at the camp of Stephen and Catherine Atla. The main focus of the 1999 Elder Academy was traditional harvesting of moose. The appropriate permits were obtained from the state of Alaska for the campers to harvest a moose. The men of the camp were lucky enough to kill a moose, and upon landing their boat with the meat on board, all the campers rushed down to the shore to help unload the moose.
It's moving! That's it.
The meat was immediately hung in the smokehouse to dry. Hanging the meat prevents it from touching anything, which could cause it to spoil. It was also smoked, which helps cure and keep insects off the meat. The heart was cleaned and tastes very good when sliced and fried. The membrane from around the heart was removed and stuffed with paper so it could dry and then be used to make a bag for carrying small items. The fat was removed from around the kidneys and large intestines and was rendered into tallow. The kidney was sliced and then fried. Other parts of the intestines were cleaned and are a delicacy for elders.
No!
The moose head is skinned, and the skin, which possesses the moose's spirit, is returned to the wilderness as a way of bringing good luck for future hunts. The tongue of the moose is pulled back and cut off. It is considered a delicacy for eating. The jaw is cut loose and then pulled back and cut off. The moose nose was cut off and cut open so it could be hung to dry. It's very hard to skin, so by partially roasting it over a fire, the skin can be peeled off easily. It is an ingredient of moose head soup. Other ingredients include meat that is cut into small pieces from the head and jaw. The meat is boiled for a couple of hours and flavored with vegetables, rice, and macaroni. The meat that runs along both sides of the top of the backbone is called backstrap. There is a wide sinew that runs through the backstrap. All the flesh has to be removed from the sinew in order for it to dry to be used as thread for sewing. Backstrap is good for cutting into strips to make dry meat. The rump of the moose is considered to be a less favored cut of meat with lots of bone, so it was cut and sawed into pieces and used as soup meat. After a lot of cutting and sawing, it was finally whittled down to these two pieces.
Yeah, the black ones are huge, though.
The shoulders and hams are good for cutting into steaks, fry meat, and strips for making dry meat. They are cut loose from the legs, which are cut in half, and can be sawed into pieces for soup.
But the bone is called...
Dry meat can be seen hanging and drying in the background.
There you go. A lot of people break knife right here.
That's why
You have to...
flexible knife is way better. You use pocket knife.
There's one man long time ago.
They're
He's a good hunter.
rip.
Not a rope or
Not
something?
need that a rope, huh?
Or hang it on the...
You can put it down, boy. Get rope.
It's clean? Oh, it's dry anyway.
It's dry anyway.
Ribs can be cut up for making soup, or are often roasted by the fire in camp. Soon after the skin was brought to camp, it was salted to help keep it from rotting, and so the meat and membrane will come off easier. It was put away to be worked on later. After the meat preparation was done, the skin was taken out, and the first step was to remove the meat and fleshy membrane on the inside of the hide. A knife was used to cut off the thicker pieces of flesh, and a flesher to scrape off the membrane. The unwanted edges were cut away as the inside of the skin was completed. After the inside of the skin was finished, the hair was cut off of the outside of the skin with a very sharp knife.
Not lots, I hear somebody say, that's what I used to do. You go like this about 2 times and then this side.
The next step was to use a scraper or knife to remove the back epidermis.
They cut this little guy.
Do you mostly clean your hides in the fall?
During the winter.
Oh, during the winter.
Yeah.
Okay. No, see that, Nick, that white one.
Oh, okay, that one, put that one.
After the hair and inside membrane was removed, the skin was washed in water. The skin was hung on a pole, cleaned, and scraped to remove as much water and debris as possible.
There, it catch air.
The skin was again soaked and washed, then spread out and folded in half. It was then cut into 2 pieces.
This time it's dinner or flavor.
Okay.
I'm not let you touch that
Yeah.
because
Okay.
It was once again soaked and hung up. The half piece was once again folded and cut into 2 pieces.
Oh, so you soak it again.
1/4 of the skin was hung up, and the other 1/4 was going to be made into romaine. The skin was cut by starting in the middle and cutting a loop.
No.
The romaine was cut in one continuous string about 1/4 inch wide. One person cuts as the other holds the skin tight. The skin was cut in a revolving process of cutting and repositioning of the skin. The tools used to cut the romaine were sharp knives and razors. The romaine was placed in water before it was hung to dry. The traditional way of drying the romaine was to string it tightly on vertical poles. This romaine was strung on a metal contraption to dry. The metal contraption was designed so that it could be turned around as the romaine was wrapped around it. Romaine will dry in the hot sun in about 4 hours. It becomes a very strong rope material that is used for many purposes. It is used for weaving the middle foot piece of snowshoes. The front and back area of the snowshoe are woven with babiche. Babiche is made of caribou skin, which is thinner than moose skin. Making romaine from the skin is a good example of how all parts of the moose are used for different purposes. Moose are the most sought-after big game animal in Alaska. Hunters report harvesting over 7,000 of Alaska's estimated 175,000 moose each year. Going out to get a moose is a fall ritual for tens of thousands of Alaskans. When game managers need to make changes in the sex and age composition of a moose population, they often develop regulations to change harvest pressures on certain sexes and ages of moose. Often wolves kill a moose and bears will run the wolves off and take over the meat. Here, a sow with 2 cubs, plus a sow with 1 cub and wolves all compete for the meat from a kill. Moose are preyed upon year-round by wolves and in spring, summer, and fall by bears. Where they are abundant relative to moose, bears and wolves can kill up to 85% of all calves born in a year and up to 15 to 20% of all adults, keeping moose numbers low and resulting in greatly restricted harvests by hunters. Historically, moose were an important source of food, clothing, and implements to Athabascan Indians dwelling along the major rivers. Still today, traditional subsistence harvesting of moose remains a frequent activity, helping to maintain the culture of Alaska's interior Athabascan Indians.